who is now responsible for Polaritonics in Clermont-Ferrand, for his historical overview talk. So, Guillaume, the screen is yours. You have 20 minutes for the talk and 5 minutes for discussion, if I'm correct. But both of the files say the same, so it should be like that. Please.
Okay, thank you very much, dear Michal. I think that after these words, my talk is probably already finished because you were very well summarizing more or less what I wanted to say. So indeed, well, it will be partly scientifical, but okay, because I still want to show that overall this Clermont activity was really a very strong one and played really a key role in Polaritonics and I think beyond among these years. Indeed, the story started in 1998, and actually at that time, Joël Lemarie was professor in Clermont-Ferrand, and he proposed me some master internship precisely to work experimentally on planar microcavities. So I spent this internship making reflectivity experiment on these planar cavities. In the same time, okay, Alexei has been recruited as a professor here, and I started my thesis together when Alexei started his, he was the younger professor in France at that time, 28 years old, and we started immediately to interact very strongly the one with the other, and and it worked extremely well. It was a very great time, I would say. And okay, we started to work together on theory and we started this adventure. After that, there has been, there is a list here. I hope I did not forget too many people, probably I did. There was also many other contributors, collaborators who came in Clermont that are not listed there. Here I have listed, I think, only people who really spent a lot of time here working with us all along these years, and all what I am going to say and much beyond is really their contribution. Okay, so if I would have been less lazy, I will have shown pictures of everybody and so on and so forth. But anyway, many of these people will give talks in the rest of the session, so you will be able to see them, to see their face, and to see that they are still nowadays extremely active researchers. So yes, so if my computer is not crashed, no, it is just slow. So then, yes, we were extremely poor, in fact, at that time, and the story partly started when Alexei decided to make a European project. So it was the first Clermont project, and and it was really the start of the story. It was a lot of interaction with many people, and in the framework of this Clermont project, the title was Physics of Nitride-Based Microcavities. Alexei again decided to create this series of conference. At that time, it was just to create one conference, PLMCN, Physics of Light Matter Coupling in Nitride. So here is a figure I have already shown many times. So this is the first page of the abstract booklet. And then I even found my slides, the slides I was showing at this conference. You see this, the style we had at that time, with this picture of Alexei. And look, Misha, I was not cheating when you were giving your talk, because here you can see this formula that you were yourself showing of reflectivity by quantum well or by a monolayer. And indeed, it was about already exciton polaritons, reflectivity, transmission, and so on in multi-layer structures containing these quantum wells. Yes. So then, really came the new start, I think, for this polaritonic activity in microcavities. It was the Savvidis-Bomberg experiment in 2000s, and started from there. Ourselves started to be more and more working on these microcavities. So here I will say a few words about some contributions we had. So one contribution was to make this phase diagram for polariton BEC, or rather, because we are into the transition, both Berezinski-Kosterlitz-Thouless transition towards superfluidity. So this is assuming thermal equilibrium for the polariton gas, which can, at some temperature, make this transition. In the same time, we have been studying the relaxation kinetic of these polaritons using Boltzmann equations in order to know if indeed this BEC limit can be reached or not. And I would say that maybe one of the key results we obtained in these years, 2002, was that room temperature BEC could be achieved using large bandgap semiconductors cavities. So these gallium nitrides, which were very topical at that time, and also zinc oxide. Then there have been some also works with Fabrice about more quantum stuff, so coherence buildup in polariton lasers. And here is this nice PRL we did together on this topic. Then came the fact that it is possible really to tune all this using the polariton, the exciton photon detuning. So indeed, if you are at negative detuning, then this energy trap is very deep. Relaxation kinetic is very slow, lifetime is very short, and you are very unlikely to reach this thermal equilibrium. And then moving to more positive detuning, then the BEC regime could be achieved. And this is something which then has been observed, in fact, experimentally. And in between, there is some optimal detuning where the threshold is minimal. And this transition between kinetic and thermodynamic regime has been observed in all materials. And there have been a large series of papers on this topic. And then on this polariton laser story, the last slide I will mention is the description of this horizontal polariton laser. So here it was already with Dima Solnishkov. We heard a lot in this session about this new type of system. So indeed there, what we did was to show theoretically that this horizontal polariton laser could work. And then it was observed here in Clermont by the Joel group, by Omar Jamadi, essentially. Well, it was experimentally observed in a zinc oxide waveguide. Then, let us move to the next topic, which was really, I think, the great topic, which made us famous somehow. Yes, it is polariton spin dynamics. So polariton spin dynamics, there have been a lot of early activity. So maybe it's not necessarily the older papers, but you see already in 2003, 2004, we had a lot of activity on this topic. Spin dynamics of exciton polaritons in microcavities, this paper with Kirill, for instance. But then the real maybe breakthrough came with this optical spin Hall effect stuff. So it was shown in several previous talks at this conference, but here I will not detail how it works. I will just remind how it was discovered, in fact. So Misha Glazov was visiting us in Clermont. So we were having one day lunch in our usual canteen. And it was just after the observation of the intrinsic spin Hall effect by, not observation, description of the intrinsic spin Hall effect by Sinova. And Alexei told to Misha, Misha, you should maybe explain us. It looks very interesting, but we don't understand so well. You should make a seminar about this intrinsic spin Hall effect. And then we went back to the office. I went to take a coffee somewhere, and Alexei and Misha came together in the office. And 10 minutes after, I have seen Alexei coming out and coming in my own office saying, Guillaume, look, we are going to make optical spin Hall effect. I perfectly understand how it will work. You should do the figures like this and like that. Then in 2 days, I make the figures. Alexei wrote the paper, and we submitted. And at the first round of referee 3 weeks after, it was accepted to PRL, and it was which was not usual at all for us at that time. Well, in this, what was done there is to understand really that this TTM splitting, looking in reciprocal space, it's really like some kind of spin orbit coupling for photons. There is really this structure in reciprocal space. And I remember perfectly that Alexei was saying, look, now it's really new horizons for us. We are going to explore this new world that we were not considering very much before. And I must say that indeed it was true. And I have been probably at the end the person who explored the more these possibilities. And it is still something which we are using enormously now. Then there was a story. There is also the part related to interactions, the fact that polariton interaction are spin anisotropic. So this leads to some self-induced Zeeman splitting. Again, we had an early paper as early as 2003, 2004 on this topic. And then there is the fact that at equilibrium, if you don't have too much problem with the reservoir, polariton condensate should be linearly polarized. Because of this alpha 2, which is extremely small, and possibly which is an attractive contribution. Then, okay, there was this activity with Nikolai and also with Ivan and so on. I forgot to say that in 2005, Alexei left Clermont-Ferrand. So, okay, and activities had to continue without him. So Nikolai then came and we had this work on multi-stability where, okay, B-stability, it was already known, but then, of course, if you take into account polarization effect and this spin anisotropic interaction, also polarization is showing some very strong hysteresis behavior. And there are, okay, even some, okay, something which I will not detail now. Then came the era of quantum fluids, okay? So before more or less 2008, 2010, we were very much thinking in terms of homogeneous system. And then people have started to watch in details what is happening in real space and to start to deal with these quantum fluid pictures with observation of vortices and so on. And here again, our key contribution was about taking spin into account. To consider spinor quantum fluids. So these half vortices were introduced by Yoa Hubo, and then we introduced this concept of half solitons. And also, well, there was also, I should mention this paper with Vanya in 2006, where we studied this, well, it was mentioned the other day by Alexei, this dispersion of elementary excitation in presence of this polarization splitting. Then this half solitons and half vortices, we studied them enormously. So it was the time of Hugo Flyac, Hugo Tersas, and Dima was there, evidently. So we described them quite a lot in terms of using effective theories. So more and more during the years, we have developed effective theories to be able to describe behavior of these very complicated systems in terms of much simpler equations, where just, for instance, these topological defects are charges which are interacting with some fields, which can be electrical-like field or magnetic-like field, and then we can follow their trajectories, not describing the full system. So there was this idea that these half soliton and half vortices are could be described as being magnetic monopoles interacting with some effective magnetic field. Then Hugo Tersas was showing that if you put them together, half solitons can form Wigner crystals, and then they can melt. Then they can demonstrate magnetricity, and even they can be used as test particles in analog gravity experiments. And all this, okay, not all this, but observation of these half solitons was reported by the group of Bramati in this paper in 2012. Okay, then this is nice, but I am going to skip. And then the next part of the talk, the next part of the activity has been related to the possibility to have to imprint or to create in the plane some potential. Okay, so one way to do that is by etching, and here it is essentially activity we had with the group of Jacqueline Bloch. So they made in 2010 these wires, 1D wires, in which we studied condensation, showing extended phase coherence, ballistic propagation of the condensate in this system. Then there have been pillars and 0D condensate. Then it's possible to make molecules with these pillars, and we studied Josephson oscillation, self-trapping. Then it's possible to make 1D lattices, where we found gap solitons. This benzene-like structures, which recently again was showing very nice results, such as chiral lasers, and also finally these lattices, such as this honeycomb lattice, showing these Dirac cones, and which are very interesting from many point of views, and these very rich activities, which can be based on using this type of stuff. And finally came the last activity about yes, I have still a bit of time, about topological polaritonics. So again, this topological polaritonics story is grounded on this 2005 paper. And in fact, it is linked with the transversality of the fact that photonic modes, electromagnetic modes, are transverse modes. So this is something which is evident, which we all learn at school. But in fact, in microcavities, it's particularly we have really to understand that much more, because precisely at k equals 0, these modes are supposed to be degenerate. So this TTM splitting is small, so you have to take both into account, and this makes that you have to think more about rather than to say, okay, I have a T mode which is very far of the others, and just, okay, I don't care that it is T, in fact. Here it is really crucial, and this transverse nature of the optical modes is really the key stuff, I think, for topological photonics in general. So it is something also well understood by Bliock, for instance, but that we ourselves understood independently, I would say, in this 2005 work. Okay, but at that time, we are not thinking at all in terms of topology, I would say. This a bit more came in 2009 with this paper with Vanya Shelik, where we, okay, the word Berry phase appeared. Okay, Berry phase, Berry curvature, that if you have both TTM and Zeeman splitting, then these two parabola, they get split, and you get really some distributed Berry curvature in your bands. Then came this activity with Hugo Tersas, this very nice work where we considered this. Okay, it was shown already, and it will be shown. It was shown during the conference, and maybe it will be shown in other talks. I don't know. That considering this birefringence plus this TTM splitting, then these two parabola get split, and it makes emerge this tilted Dirac cones with some monopolar pseudo-spin texture which is emerging, and this also could be interpreted in terms of non-abelian gauge field acting on photons. And this stuff was, at least for the pseudo-spin texture, observed in this last work together with the Daniele Sanvito group, which was also presented during the conference. Then once we have these chiral photons, then it becomes clear, even if it is not like this, that it is understood in general by people, that if you put them in a good lattice, then some band gaps will open, and they can probably be topological because of this chirality. So it was proposed by other people before us in 2008 by Oden and Raju, and then observed more or less. And then we proposed some, I would say, quite independently, because I think when Anton Nalitov found this band gap and was studying all these things, he did not rely on this Aldan Raju paper. He just found like this, and then we understood later that it was exactly, okay, not exactly, but partly the same as usual. And then, okay, we had this nice figure that has been shown absolutely everywhere, and a part of this was, in fact, then observed in this Klemm paper of 2018 by the group of Sven Hoffling. Then here maybe I will insist a bit more, because we have difficulties to make this idea enter in the head of people, that these topological lasers, it's maybe sad for some, okay, for people who do not want to cite us, but in fact, yes, we have really been the first one in this paper to propose this concept of topological laser. So indeed, it's not in the title, which is very sad. It's about some, because it was too simple. So somehow this story that you could get lasing in this edge mode of topological origin. So it is just some illustration in the first part of the paper, and the second part, it's about some complicated Kibble-Zurich mechanism. But it is still, it is well there, and it was the first time it was shown. And then it was observed, as we know, by C2N people. Then evidently one can combine interacting quantum fluids and topology. So here it's really the activity we had with Olivier Bleu, and where we have shown that it is possible to make this quantum Valley Hall effect. We heard a lot during the conference, during the first day, and also during the Kanik-IF talk. In fact, this quantum Valley Hall effect, it is not at all a real topological effect. There is no robustness against scattering by random disorder. And then if you fill your system with a BEC, you change the excitations are not single particle anymore, but they are quantum vortices. This quantum vortex, they couple to the Valley degree of freedom, and then if they okay, the video here I think is not working, but if the vortex is moving on the edge, If there is a defect, yes, then there is no backscattering. And this is really a new type of topological effect where there is no symmetry protection, but two topological effects together, which makes your topological phase what it is. Then there is some activity, there was some demonstration that gap solitons in topological gap demonstrate some chiral behavior. And this is finally my last slide about stories you already heard about measurement of this quantum geometric tensor, a measurement of polariton anomalous Hall drift, and also, this is what Dima will speak about, the possibility to use these tilted Dirac points to make non-abelian magnetostatic experiments, where, in fact, this couple spatial motion of a wave packet coupled with a spin motion, this is strongly related to what is called quantum chromodynamics, and which people are using to describe quark physics, for instance. Okay, so thank you very much for all people who are there. It's a great, okay, it's very a shame we should have been to the restaurant this evening. We should have spent time together. Of course, we cannot. But nevertheless, we try to do our best to have minimal link, and I think everybody enjoys at least to have this minimal type of interaction. So thank you very much again for all you did.
Thank you very much, Guillaume.
And for me.
Thank you very much for this excellent presentation and also for keeping the polaritonic physics running in Clermont. We have first question by Alexei, please.
Actually, a small comment. So I would say if we compare the Clermont School of Polaritonics with Copenhagen School of Quantum Mechanics, then Guillaume definitely played the role of Werner Heisenberg. And without his incredible energy and curiosity and ability to rapidly learn new topics, it would not move forward. So clearly, I thank you, Guillaume, for putting this all together. And of course, your role is great. I also want to mention in this context Bernard Gilles, who actually was also a key person, because first of all, without him, I would not be in Clermont-Ferrand. He told me about that professorship and he helped me to get it. And then he pointed to wide bandgap semiconductors, gallium nitride and zinc oxide, as a nice playground for polaritonics. And this led to ambient polaritonics and first observation of Bose-Einstein condensation at room temperature. That was an important event in this field. And also he actually put together this Clermont very first Clermont consortium that was on polaritons and nitride based microcavities, and that was the first European project of such a scale on polaritonics. So that was very important, and I think we should never forget it. And the last thing I wanted to say is that among all these topics mentioned to Guillaume, I just want to add one that also was explored initially in Clermont-Ferrand, and I think still it has a significant potentiality. This is light-induced superconductivity. There was always this feeling, intuition that
there was some talks. I don't know if you was there, but really many people are okay. I was ready to ask a question. I was looking for on internet the status of these LIMS or whatever, but okay, there was talk the first day by the people publishing Science and Nature each week who were they were really thinking doing such things. So well,
yeah,
it's very topical stuff.
This is our future. Yeah.
So Alexei, thank you for the comment.
I can just admire the whole activity of Guillaume's group, and it's huge productivity.
Alexei, thank you for the comment. And before we go to your talk, there is another question or comment from Feng Li, please.
Hi, Guillaume. Thanks for the very nice historical review. And probably you don't have time to put some other results inside, but which is very important to me. So I think I would like really to thank you again for all these results, including the zinc oxide polariton laser at room temperature, especially the theoretical part. I think it's in 2013. And the 2D material polarities, as you collaborated with Sheffield, and also this atomic lattice, the vortex dynamics in atomic lattices, and the anisotropic organic cavities, its topology and non-Hermite properties that we have collaborated. And you didn't put them all of them inside, but I really want to thank you for this kind of results from our.
Look, Frank, here you are. It was a bit fast, but you see, you are there. I'm sorry, but indeed, okay, it makes all together maybe 100 papers easily, important ones. Okay. And I did not list, I forgot, for instance, so I did not mention the time states that Alexei discovered in 2005. And we were together with Vanya Shelik, and I think it was it became popular, and maybe it could be even better exploited. So yes, there are many things which I completely skipped. I'm sorry about that.
It's fun because you don't have that time to talk about everything. But for me, I just want to express my my acknowledgement. I really need to thank you, because no matter when I was doing my PhD, or when I was in my postdoc, or even when I was a faculty, now I think we are already always collaborating. Although I have only been to Clermont-Ferrand for like 1 month, but during my career, I think I have always strong connections with Clermont-Ferrand, and I really like the people and the city of Clermont-Ferrand. And whenever I think about Clermont-Ferrand and your group, think about Joel and all the colleagues in Clermont-Ferrand, I feel very happy about this. That's all what I want to express, and I really wish that we can still go on with our collaborations to have more wonderful scientific results out of this collaboration. Yeah, that's what I want to comment. Thank you very much, Guillaume.
Thank you, Feng.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Lee, for this comment. And I think that we need to thank Guillaume once again for his talk.